right. Welcome to the first episode of the No Huddle Sports Football Podcast. I'm Chris. With me is Ryan.
Yep. Hello.
Kicking things off just to kind of introduce ourselves. We got a handful of topics we're going to go through today. First things that we're going to do here is we are going to pick 3 teams for this season. And what we're going to do, we're going to start off by both letting all of our listeners know who our favorite team is. The second team we're going to be picking is any team that was a playoff team aside from our own team. We would like to see make a Super Bowl push. And then the last team that we're going to pick is, again, any team aside from our own team that we pick as our favorite who didn't make the playoffs that we would like to really see make it into the playoffs this year, kind of take the next step forward. So for myself, my favorite team, representing them today, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've been a fan all my life. I grew up here in the Tampa Bay area. So they are my team every single year that I will root for no matter what. Doesn't matter. Even in all these really tough years that we've had like peak time in the early 2000s, and then of course just a little bit ago in 2020, and a lot of the other years are down years for Tampa Bay Bucs fans. That is my favorite team. Put over to Ryan. Ryan, tell us, who is your favorite team that you're rooting for through thick and thin?
Through thick and thin, eh? Well, there's a lot of thin for me. I unfortunately am a Browns fan, so it's painful. It's always painful. Every year I'm hopeful. Every year I'm disappointed.
That's tough. And to be a Browns fan as long as you have is dedication.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much been the entire time I've been a professional football fan. So sometime in the 90s.
Oh.
99 as a matter of
fact.
fact.
Heartbreak there.
Yeah, 99 as a matter of fact, when the Browns came back. That's when I was like, fuck it, I'm choosing this team.
Yeah. Wait, how many quarterbacks you had since then?
What's
the list up to on the jersey now?
I think the jersey now covers the entirety of the back, like numbers and all at this point, if I remember correctly. I actually haven't seen an updated picture since I believe when Baker took over. That was the last picture. I haven't seen one with Watson's name and everyone else that's in between.
It was in between, yeah.
But
that thing is something of a spectacle at this point.
Oh,
a running joke.
Yeah, like the franchise.
Yep, very fitting. So, my team that has in the playoffs, that, considering the Bucs don't win the Super Bowl, the team that I would really, really like to see go over the top finally. Anyone that knows me knows that this has been like my number 2 team for the longest time, for at least the last 20, 25 years, and it's the Bengals.
The Bungles, oh yeah.
Good old Bungles. I've loved the Bengals for a long time. When I was a real little kid, my number 2 team was the 49ers, but I realized that was while Steve Young was there. And then after Steve Young left, I kind of didn't care about them as much. It's been the Bengals. They've been like my lovable losers that I've been rooting for. And it helps in recent years they got Joe Burrow, and I don't watch a ton of college football. But I remember the first time I watched him was when he was going up against my Florida Gators. I can't stand LSU. That's probably my second least favorite college, second only to Ohio State. I cannot stand LSU. And I just remember watching that game, and I'm like, damn, this quarterback, who is this Joe Burrow guy? Like, he is so good. And it made me watch LSU games for the rest of that year, something I've never done and will probably never do again.
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, unless he ends up on like the Eagles or the Steelers, wherever he's going to go, I'm definitely going to be rooting for that team, because like I just love the way this kid plays. He looks awesome. And then I was hoping that my Bucs maybe would get him because they were so bad. And good old Jameis Winston, one last time, making sure to stick it to Tampa, make sure to win a few games at the end, just to make sure we couldn't get that number 1 pick and get him. And And then he went to the Bengals, and after they got him, I'm like, well, perfect. If he didn't go to the Bucks, my second pick would have been the Bengals. And man, what an instant turnaround for that franchise.
Oh yeah, immediate.
They yes, they had been awful. I mean, obviously he got hurt his first season, but then he comes back and they make it to the Super Bowl. Like that franchise makes it to the Super Bowl, and now they're considered a legit contender year in and year out. Like what a difference it makes. I mean, they've gotten some other pieces, but it all begins and ends with the quarterback on the team.
For sure. It's funny. The Bengals. The last time they went to the Super Bowl was the year I was born. If that tells you anything. 1988. So,
yeah. And I don't think they've even gotten close since then.
No. I think Marvin Lewis was the only one who's. Didn't he never win a playoff game? Like they made it tons of times with Marvin Lewis, and then just shit the bed immediately.
Yeah, or if they won maybe once, if even. I don't even know if they won one time.
I think there was they either got eliminated in wild card or division.
Yeah,
the divisional
they didn't make
round.
it past division. I know that much.
No. I honestly, I would also have to say the Bengals. As far as teams that made the playoffs, I would like to see win. I would love to see them win. I mean, granted, they're in the same division as my favorite team, but like you said, watching Joe Burrow, I'm a bigger college football fan, obviously, than you. But that was the only time from wire to wire, a season that I watched a team adamantly other than Michigan. Because I knew Burrow coming out of Ohio State, I knew who he was. So to see him leave Ohio State was awesome because I was like, cool, they don't have a good they just wasted a good quarterback.
Yes.
And then when he went to LSU and had nothing but firepower, man, it was so much fun to watch. It was almost as fun as watching the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. They're just torching people the entire time, and that's how I like football. I don't like defensive showcases. I want to see points until points cannot be scored anymore. So watching the LSU team was awesome.
Yeah. Especially with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow all on the same team. That's insane.
Thaddeus Moss. There was a couple of dudes they just had the firepower and it was awesome. And then I think with Coach Ogeron, I don't think he did much of actually play calling or legitimate coaching, but just a sheer motivation factor. That dude was in the perfect place at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would have to say the Bengals for the team I want to see win it all that hasn't it.
Okay. And then our last pick is a team that we would like to see make the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs last year. And I looked at all the teams that made the playoffs and I'm like, who would I even root for out of these teams? And I realized it was an easy pick for me because looking at the teams that didn't make it last year, we have the Steelers. No way I'm rooting for them.
No, fuck no.
The Titans, they're kind of boring. Broncos, until you sent me all those videos about Russell Wilson, what kind of a person he is off the field, normally I might have picked him. I used to love Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But now seeing what kind of person he is and how it's all come out now.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah, the fact that his teammates aren't allowed to have his phone number or something. Sorry, I'm not rooting for you anymore.
Yeah.
Patriots, they had their time. I'm not too worried about them. Colts, man, you see the news about the Colts today. They're a mess.
Yeah, they just took a huge hit. Or they're going to in due time.
Yep. The Browns, the Jets. Jets are kind of an exciting team, but I can't let myself root for them too much. Just because of my boy Josh Kimmel, if you're listening, knowing that you're going to be rooting for Aaron Rodgers, I ultimately have to root against the Jets. So they can't be my team. The Texans, who cares? The Raiders. I think there's a few others. But my team is the Lions. I feel like they were.
That's a good one. That's a good pick.
One of the funnest teams to watch.
Did they miss the playoffs? They had a winning record, I believe, right? They're 9-8. Did they miss it? I don't know if they made it. I think they might have missed it even with a winning record. I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe they had a winning record.
Yeah, I thought they had a winning record, but I thought they lost. They just didn't.
Because let's see, the Vikings won that division, and I think did Green Bay come in second, and then Lions, or vice versa? Either way, they did better than I thought, but I don't know if they actually made the playoffs off the top of my head. I can look. Let's see here.
No, they did not make the playoff.
They
They were
did.
9-8.
Yeah.
Vikings were the only one to make it because you also had the Bucks. Seahawks. The Seahawks stole the last spot, I think. The 49ers, Giants, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. The Lions barely missed it. I think everyone was. A lot of people were rooting for them, and I was one of them.
Yeah,
I don't
same.
know. Lions have been another terrible franchise over the years.
They have too many good people just to like let waste away in that franchise.
Yeah, between Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, plenty of others. The fact that Matthew Stafford left and immediately won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you feel like they got Jared Goff, who like I don't hate the guy. I feel like
I think he's productive.
Yeah, he's pretty good, and now I'm kind of rooting for him. I kind of want him to do good.
I think it'd be some good. I say like some justice for him because like with the Rams he was just fine. He was a good facilitator. Like he obviously wasn't the all-star quarterback that they needed that they got from Matt Stafford, but Jared Goff's not a bad quarterback. I mean, look at the one game against him, the Rams and the Chiefs, like the highest scoring game of all time. Like the dude can get it done if he has the. I mean, like most quarterbacks, if he has the weapons, like the dude can get it done.
Yeah. I would like to see them make that push, considering how close they got. They're a lot of fun to watch. Jared Goff, I forget who's a running back now. They got the guy from
Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be.
Yeah, he's the one they drafted. They got somebody else.
I think they got. Did they get what's his face? Khalil?
No, not Khalil.
Montgomery. Montgomery, yeah.
Picked up Montgomery. They got Teddy Two Gloves wearing number 50 at quarterback this year. Very strange.
Hey, man.
Or at least he was in preseason. I don't know if that's going to carry over to the regular season.
I think it was just preseason.
Okay.
Yeah, the 50, anything outside of 1 to 19 for a quarterback is very odd to see. I remember there was a season, Michigan season, Dwayne Gardner, one of their quarterbacks, tight end, wide receiver, hybrid people, he wore 98 for one season as a quarterback. It was in tribute to a Michigan Hall of Famer, college football Hall of Famer, but still, like to see someone be under center with 98 was so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm still getting used to these other position players not having their traditional numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
think the one that would take me the longest would still be quarterback, because like we're at least a little used to it in college with some of the position players.
Exactly,
but I feel like even the quarterbacks still have those low numbers, that 1 through 19 number.
For the most part, I think what's his face, Shea Patterson, when he played for Michigan, he wore 22 when he was with Ole Miss, I believe. It was something weird. I was like, why the fuck do you have like just pick a quarterback number, dude? Like. Everyone else is fine. I don't care what you have in college, but the quarterback, like outside of 1 through 19, like outside of that, like no, sorry, I just can't do it.
Doesn't look right. No. Doesn't look right. And they got Jamison Williams there, suspended, but he'll be fun to watch. Amaron St. Brown, I love watching him. He's so much fun to watch.
They got Hutch on the other side, man. Aiden, it's my dude.
Yeah, yep, that's the other guy I was trying to think of. Aiden Hutchinson, man, I was glad to see. I mean, how many people get super pumped like that to be drafted by Detroit?
It's his hometown team, the team his dad played for. Like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah. And the fact that he was like an instant impact for that team was awesome to see. That's what we were all hoping for, and I was glad to see it working out for him so far.
I mean, I figured he would. I mean, as a Michigan fan, I'm obviously biased, but whenever Georgia, like 2 years ago, when Georgia and Michigan played in the playoffs, like when they just took Aiden Hutchinson out of the game. Like that was the entire, like the whole like tone changed. Like once they took him out of the game was Georgia's, like immediately.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So who was your team that missed the playoffs? Not the Browns though, that you want to see make the playoffs this year.
The Jets. I want it to end. I don't want to hear Jets fans talk about Joe Namath. I just want it to end. I want Aaron Rodgers to just just go away. Let's hope they win so he goes away.
So you never have to hear about him again?
I think we're like now that Brady's gone, like Rodgers is the next to go, and like it's just there's no
It's
more
like the last of
old
that
quarter. Yeah,
generation.
exactly. Like it just new people, fresh start. Like you've simmed 10 years into Madden. You know, like.
Yes. It's his time. And I told Josh, I gave him crap because he's the biggest Brady hater that any of us know.
Oh,
I said, listen, if the Jets win if the Jets lose, it's all Aaron Rodgers' fault. Just so you know, Brady did it in the first year with a new team.
yeah,
So
100%.
if Aaron loses, it's all his fault. But if he wins, I'm gonna let you know it's because he's got a stacked team.
Yep,
He's
100%.
got Garrett Wilson, he got Dalvin Cook there. It's only Brees Hall. He's got a stacked team.
He's got
If he loses,
hand-picked
it's his fault.
receivers that he wanted.
Yes, ones that he hated that he said were crap in Green Bay. They're back with him. He handpicked them to come with him over into New York. But
I think it was a long con. I think he was saying that they're all shit, so they would like cut them or trade them or like just like make them go away on these like 1 year deals. And he's like, once he
decrease their values.
yeah,
And stuff.
exactly, the long con, dude.
Yeah, I do like Dalvin Cook. I do like Brees Hall. He was fun to watch for 6 weeks before he got hurt. I do like watching Garrett Wilson. So they have some players there, but like I said, it's just too hard for me to root for them. I can't give Josh a satisfaction, and he knows that.
Yeah, well.
There you go. There's our 3 teams. This time next year, keep our favorite team more than likely, and then we'll have to pick 2 different teams for those 2 categories. But those are our ones we're locking in for this year that we're gonna keep an eye on and hope that they succeed.
Yeah, well, yes. I think my second pick will definitely succeed. All right, so we're gonna fill out a little tier maker. I filled mine out earlier, but we're gonna let you do it, and we're gonna compare what we believe how these teams lie, according to this tier schedule or this tier maker. So what we're gonna do here, bam, I'm gonna move on over. All right, so your camera's kind of cutting it off, but at the very tippity top here is elite. And then for whatever reason, we have goos instead of good. So nice typo, whoever created this. Okay, bad, and awful, right? So all we gotta do is drag and drop. So do you want to start with a specific team, or do you want to go down the line? How do you want to go about this?
I'll just go down the line. We'll start with the elite, move down to the goose, and eventually end up on awful.
Fucking goose. All right. All right. So Bungles, where do you want the Bungles to lie?
The Bengals are, of course, going to be elite. They're at the very top tier.
Yeah, elite, the Bungles. All right, all right.
They are an elite team right now.
I mean, I think if with some little improvements on defense, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that was.
You could pick out a couple problems with any franchise right now. So I mean, as far as
Oh yeah,
being as close to a complete team as you can be, or an actual Super Bowl contender or favorite, I think they got to be up there in that top ranking.
yeah. I mean, they were at the Super Bowl 2 years ago. It's hard to say a team's not good whenever it's basically the same team from that time. Like.
And didn't they get eliminated last year by the Chiefs?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like, if you're gonna be beaten, you got to be beaten by the best.
Yes.
All right. So the Patriots, at least the back half of the Patriots logo.
Back half of the Patriots logo. Where do I have them here in front of me? I think I had them picture cut off or something.
Let's see. I think I can.
Oh, there they are. I have them in on your scale, they're in the yellow. They're in bad.
God damn it. Hang on. Tried to jazz this up some, but there we go. It said yellow?
Yeah, they're in the yellow.
There we go.
Not very good right now. I mean, quarterback is okay. I don't think he's going to be there much longer. But their team they're bad.
Oh yeah,
not doing anything for the next few years.
100%.
Got some okay pieces, but they're still far ways out.
I mean, they got Zeke. That's all you need, according to Cowboys fans. The last fucking 5 years.
Yeah, right.
All right, the Aints.
The Saints, I have them in the okay category.
Really? Okay. Think they're gonna make a pretty big leap from their performance last year?
I think so. I think they're going to be on the upswing. Because who were their quarterbacks last year? They had Winston, Taysom Hill, and who was the other one that was there with them last year?
Was it Andy Dalton?
Yeah,
No.
something like
Was
that.
it? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It wasn't a good situation for them. I think Derek Carr will definitely. I think a very motivated Derek Carr is going to be a good thing for them because
Yeah.
he seems like he wants to prove Oakland wrong. It's also a very weak division in football, so I think that they can improve, and I think they can put them on the. They're not real good though, so I can't put them in a tier up, but they're okay. They're at the top of okay. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I like I said with Derek Carr, like he's like juiced out of his mind right now.
Yes,
Which
saw that picture. Like his
yeah, yeah,
arms are massive
he's
now.
a huge like yeah. I mean, I understand why because he was looking a little anemic there for a bit. But I like I said, I think he's motivated to succeed and. They have weapons. I mean, I hate to say it, they have weapons, especially because two of them are Ohio State. But yeah, they
Yeah, you got Olave year two, right?
yeah. So I mean, for yeah, especially for him, sophomore year is always fun to see with people who had good rookie years. That's always interesting to see the sophomore year. All right, the Squealers.
I got them in bad.
Yep, it seems fair. Seems fair.
Just they don't they got Kenny Pickett at quarterback. I know he made a couple throws in this last preseason game, but I still think he's for sure in the bottom third of quarterbacks right now,
You
and maybe
love Kenny Pickett, don't?
oh gosh, he's one of my least favorites. I'm still mad at him for his fake slide. People are making it out like it was such a great play in college. The guy pulled up because he didn't want to get a personal foul and ejected for half the game. So of course he's going to pull up. You're not some great magician or something. So that was a terrible play. No one should have ever praised him. It was the worst, one of the worst plays I've ever seen in college football. He didn't look very good. And on top of that, your lead back, I of all people know that Najee Harris was awful.
Yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
I
Yeah.
drafted him in the first round last year, knowing he was risk reward, but I was just saying, screw it, let's take a risk, and that didn't work out because it was like the third or fourth best running back on my team last year at times. So
I
pretty
mean,
bad.
it's not like you didn't have a lot of warnings going into the draft that he was going to be bad. Like their offensive line was terrible, their quarterback was bad, their wide receivers were inconsistent. Like it was all
Well,
signs
I knew that
pointed
the team
south.
wasn't going to be good, so but I figured I'd take a chance on him, try something a little different, especially being in the spot that I was picking in. It was such an awkward spot to pick in that later half. Which that reminds me, I need to set the draft order. I'll probably do that tomorrow night for our draft. I got something a little different for us this year.
No names out of a hat this time.
No names out of a hat this year. This one
Oh,
will be a little more interesting.
okay. All right. All right.
So,
All right. The 69ers.
San Francisco, they've got to be in the top. They're in the elite.
You think they're in the elite?
I put them in the elite up there because they have a really good team. One of the best defenses they've had for a while now, minus the 1 year when everybody got injured. So I'm not going to hold that against them. You got the best, one of the best, no, the best running back that there is right now, Christian McCaffrey.
Also, the only running back made of glass.
Yes. He survived last year. You got Debo, the backup running back slash receiver. Ayuk is getting better. You got
Yeah.
George Kittle, although he gets injured a lot. You got a pretty decent offensive line. Your biggest question mark is that quarterback, and that's ultimately where they failed last year. Was they had zero quarterbacks in the middle of an NFC Championship game. I thought they had a chance to win that game if they actually had a quarterback, but they didn't.
I think.
After both of them got knocked out. So
Yeah.
I think they're still a really good team. So I
Yeah.
put them at the top. I mean, maybe I'm grading a little bit on a curve here because they're in the NFC, but
Fair.
put them up at the top.
All right. I think I know where this one's gonna go, but I'll just go ahead and just hover around. I think it's gonna be somewhere around here. But the Cards.
For them, if you could, can you make a new category below awful and put them there? Because
We'll just
that's
leave
probably
them
where they
off.
belong.
Yeah, just leave them
Yeah.
off. don't even deserve a
No, they
grade.
definitely belong in awful
Yeah, 100%.
because so bad. Kyler Murray's going to start the season off hurt. I don't know if you've seen those videos of practices. They just look all out of sorts. Of Kingsbury, I don't know what he had going on there. Now it looks like they're scrambling.
I,
Hopkins is gone now.
I
What
don't
do they
know.
got? They got James Conner going for him and
Eh,
Hollywood Brown, but no one to throw him. Yeah, but I mean that's all they have kind of going for them. Not saying that it's a lot compared to some of these other teams, but they're just really bad. They're in for a long season, and it's so weird because like I feel like it
I
felt
think
like they were trending up whenever they got who did they get? JJ Watt first, then he recruited Hopkins, and we're like, all right, this team's on the build. They got Kyler Murray, who maybe could be something, and then like flash forward a few years later, and they look like the worst team in the league. Look like they're
well,
going to go get your boy from USC next year.
I mean, maybe, who knows what. I think the Cardinals suffer from one. I know, like the franchise, like the owners and like their what do you call it? Their facilities is like terrible. Like the Phoenix is great, like the city is really cool, but like everything about that team seems to be terrible. And I think whenever like you said, they were trending up for a second, but I think when there was like a slight downtick that was like definitely foreshadowing, and that was drafting Josh Rosen for whatever reason. Like I mean, I can go in like some tangent about college football players being translating to the NFL. He played in the Pac 10, 12, 8, whatever the hell you want to call it. At
I don't know
a
what it is. The Pac 4 next year.
yeah, he was uh, a quarterback in that league or that conference on a mid-level team, UCLA. It's not a football school. Did they shine here and there? Yeah. Did they have some great players here and there? Oh yeah. It's not a football school. Why is a average quarterback being drafted number one? That was the immediate foreshadowing. Like, well, he's the best available, so don't waste the pick. Who
Yeah,
cares?
that first round pick went to waste there.
like if you already know it's a bad season and you already have doubts in that guy, just pick a skill position and just sign some journeyman quarterback that's obviously going to get you another first round pick the next year, which then you would have got Kyler Murray like you wanted. Like I just, anyways.
Yeah, I never, just kind of echoing that sentiment. I never get it where like, oh, they need a quarterback. They have to go get their guy. But all these guys this year in the quarterback class are absolute trash.
Yeah,
Skip on it.
yeah. I don't
Skip
understand.
on
Like
it. Don't waste a pick. Like
if like why is the
happens. What happens
future?
if you? What if you're saying like, hey, I need to go get just some quarterback that's probably not going to work out, or I could draft this Justin Jefferson guy. I need to get a quarterback, so I'm going to skip on him. Oh man, well now we're back in the running, and we got to get another quarterback. Like
Why is
you
this
don't see the right
franchise
guys there.
failing?
Yeah, exactly. If the right guy isn't there, don't just take anybody. Just make sure that you find that right person. I know eventually you're going to have to take a quarterback, but I
I
feel like
would.
a lot of times whenever people are on their way in or on their way out, they feel the need to draft a quarterback. Because if you're on your way out, you're like, I got to save my job. Better do something.
Yeah, and you got to
And when you're
make
on your
your.
way in, you gotta get your guy as they call it.
It's so dumb. That's and I don't know. That's again like I told you before. That's why we don't work in sports. It's because we have sound minds. All right, the Dirty Birds.
I put them in bad.
Yep, that seems fair. I think I
They
actually
are
have them
bad.
lower, but yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they're starting to turn back into the right direction. You've
Very
got
young
some good
team.
people there. Yeah, you got Bijan Robinson. You have
Kyle Pitts. You got Desmond Ritter.
Pitts. Ritter. I mean, Ritter's the unknown there, right? I think if Ritter does really well, I don't know what to expect from him though. Like I have no clue what to expect. If he does really well, maybe they move up to the okay category.
I think he
When your
has.
quarterback is a huge question mark, it's hard to put you above
I
bad.
think I think he has potential. Again, like what I was saying about the translation from college to the NFL. He played at Cincinnati, which whatever. Like there's some great players again that come out of Cincinnati, but the market for that school or like the schedule that's those schools kind that play. It's like you're not playing against the elite in college football for the most part. Like yes, they had some great wins, but it was one season, and they were like, they made it the CFP and whatnot, which awesome, but fuck, so did TCU. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, good young team. I mean, maybe a team to watch out for
I mean,
another
especially in the Bucks
three,
division,
4, 5
they could
years. Yeah,
easily be second place this year, easily.
could be. They could. Who knows if
Like these two teams,
their
I'd
car gets
say
hurt?
are pretty even. Like,
Yeah,
well, I'd say the three of these boys right here are about the same team, but with different logos.
yeah.
All right, the other birds, the Browns version 1.0.
Baltimore. I have Baltimore. So as far as your categories go, I have them in what's called okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
I'd,
They're okay.
I'd say that's fair. I
Yeah.
mean, the running back for a quarterback, some all right receivers, your backfield's all right. Like, you know,
Oh yeah, they got their running backs that were injured. Lamar, I mean, I know a lot of people hate on Lamar. I'm not here to hate on Lamar, but my thing with quarterbacks that run a lot, that run more than they pass sometimes, is they're going to get hurt. That's what we've
yes,
seen.
yeah,
I mean, we saw it with Cam Newton, we saw it with RG3. They're
immediately.
really exciting to watch, but they're just not durable. So it's just like they're subject to going down at any point in the season. If you get a full now 17 game season out of them, then that's rare these days. So I think he's great when he's on the field. I just think when he's not on the field, there's a lot of times when he's not on the field, which just takes away a little bit. The receivers, OBJ, same thing, injury concerns.
Mm.
He was really great for a while. He's got the potential to still play really great. It's just a matter of injury concerns.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I I definitely agree. I think for like Lamar's or any other like mobile quarterbacks, like if your offensive line isn't like on the up and up, like you're gonna struggle. If you're a
yes,
mainly mobile quarterback. I mean, yes, you're gonna be scrambling a whole lot because your offensive line's gonna collapse immediately and you're gonna be scrambling. So, you know, you better hope that your tight ends and your wide receivers can do some awesome downfield blocks. Because that's about all you have. All right.
it's gonna be rough. But and I don't know. And I'm interested to see how he plays now that he got his contract extension. Is he more motivated or less motivated
You
now that
know,
he got his money?
I'm
Is he
also
gonna
interested.
is he gonna say like, hey, I wanna prove you guys, you guys were doubting me, you didn't want to give me the contract. I got it. I'm about to prove to you why that was a good move because you guys were saying it wasn't a good move. Or is he just gonna do like
Everyone else
what
does.
other people do? Well, yeah, which is
Get the
okay, I
bag.
got my money, like I'm done. Like think of like what's his name, Albert Hainsworth. I always think of the guy that got like the
Yeah,
first
main
$100 million
culprit. Yeah.
contract, and as soon as he got that, he's like, "Well, I'm done.
I
I'm done
mean,
trying."
I I think that's common for a lot of them because if you think it's you get generational wealth, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe if I sandbag it for this 4 or 5 year contract, maybe I'll get a second one. Who knows? Because how I understand it to work is you have your rookie contract. Then if you're lucky enough, you have that second that contract, which is usually your biggest one. And if you're even
Yes.
luckier, you get that third one that's pretty much at like a 40% like rate of that second one. But it's like you
Yes.
hope to get that third one for sure.
Just on a quick side note, I really think, and we can talk about this more later. I think they should push for rookie contracts to be 3 years flat. No player, no team option, 3 years, and that's it. Not this 4 year with fifth player option and then tag you for the 6 year, and then we don't want you and we toss you out like garbage.
Yeah, I mean,
Three
because
years flat, no franchise tagging on the back of the 3 years.
especially like the players that are you know exceptional, but they're like not meshing with the team. When you have stuff like that, let's say Baker Mayfield, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much what happened to him. He had the franchise option on his rookie, like he was there, basically his entire contract plus one. But with that, that offense wasn't built around him. But yet all the blame was on him. So it's like his like mentality and like his motivation. Like I mean, I don't know him personally, obviously, but if that was me, I'd be like, fuck this place, dude. Like get me out. I don't want to play here. Get me out of here. Like I'm just gonna go out on this field and play kind of all right
Mm-hmm.
until you get rid of me. It's too long.
Yeah.
It's the contracts are far too long for rookie players. All right. The Bills Mafia.
Bills, they are gonna finally they're going to be sitting by themselves right now in the goose
In the
category.
goose, huh?
They're in the goose. Yeah, I can't quite put them anymore at that top tier where they used to be because they seem like they just shrink in the moment in the playoffs. Like they're really good regular season team, but then they kind of struggle. I mean, they're a little bit kind of like how the Colts used to be when we were growing up. They would be they'd be a
Yeah.
top notch
Yeah.
regular season team.
Undefeated.
Yeah, 13-3, 14-2, like every year, and then come playoff time, something would happen, and they would struggle. They eventually got over the hump, and I hope the Bills do one day. But right now, it just seems like they're trending in the wrong direction. They got really close. Then they had their playoff exit last year. I see the stuff online about Stephon Diggs. Is he saying he wants out or can't stay on the team, or is he not saying that? And it's it looks like it's some trouble there, which that's of course always a distraction. So they've got really good players there. They've got great players there. Can they get over the hump? So I don't know, and I feel like if they don't really get close, like really close, like they need to make it into the Super Bowl this year. And if they don't, I feel like it's really going to start breaking that team. That they're going to start trending downward soon. That it's just going to be too much. You know what I mean?
I think, I think I definitely agree. I think they'll suffer the same fate if, like you said, if they don't win the Super Bowl this year. I think they'll, or at least next year. However, they'll suffer the same fate as the early 2000s Eagles, where they were like stacked, always going to the NFC Championship, just being just menaces on the field. But they made it the one time, and then they lost, and then they were just dismantled after that. But all those tries, to get there, they finally do, and then Brady's like, nah.
Not happening.
All right, the Carolina Panthers.
Right there. You could just drop them right there. Bad. They're bad. You got a rookie quarterback. So, I mean, that's going to take some time. What is he going to be the day one starter there?
I would imagine so. I mean,
probably
they did.
That seems to be the thing now is your rookie quarterbacks are starting, which I don't agree with. I think you need to give them time. Running back, they got Miles Sanders this year, which I've never been a huge fan of his, partially because he's been an Eagles player, but also I don't know, he's just I don't know.
I think
not a huge fan.
Yeah, I think he underperformed his entire like. I think he had like one good year 2 years ago, but like it's hard to really judge running backs because like their shelf life could be a game.
Short.
Yeah,
it's very short these days.
So
I mean, there are a few big standouts, but like when I think top 5, top 7 running back, like his name just doesn't come to mind.
No, definitely. He's not he's like out of the backfield. He's not really super elite, which is where I think he suffers. Like he's a good running back as far as like running the ball, but like passing, like in the passing game, like toss up. But I mean, they got
and then receivers where they got Adam Thielen this year, but I mean he's
washed
getting up there in age. I don't even know who their other players are. I don't know much of who they have. They seem like they're just going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like right here in the bad is probably the best category for them, which have 2 teams in bad and 1 in okay. It's looking pretty bright for the Bucks, division wise.
Yeah.
All right, my favorite team with my favorite quarterback.
Awful.
Yeah,
they've been awful. They're bad.
I hope so too.
Yeah, I think the pressure is going to be a lot for Justin Fields because everyone is like you're on one side or the other. There is no in the middle on Justin
100%.
There are people that think he is the next greatest quarterback, and then there are people like me and you that just don't see it. Like, yes, I'm sorry, but I just never get really impressed with a quarterback that can run when the defense is dropping 7 or 8. Well,
yeah.
No shit, you can run. There's nobody in front of you.
Yeah, and you're
Let's
trying
hand
to
the ball off to any running back when they're playing a cover 4 backwards, and then let's see someone with elite speed just run and then be blown away by how fast they can run. Like
especially when you're the only 3 to 4 people you have to evade are 300-pound defensive linemen.
Yes, and then it's everyone one-on-one in the open field. He's a great runner. He's really fast.
He's a fantastic athlete. I will give him that.
Yes. But, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't see it. And everyone was drooling over his stat line the other day: 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Come on,
-3 air yards.
let's read between the lines. Let's look at the stats on those. He did a dump off pass.
And that's
That was DJ Moore, and that was Khalil Herbert
yeah, it was a
doing their
screen.
thing.
Yeah.
That is props to them. I'm sorry, I can't give props to you for dropping off on a screen there. You didn't do the work.
The argument that or not really an argument, but just like the question or statement, I guess, that like the few Bear fans that I have interacted with based off of the Justin Fields, with that stat line, I was like, so you're telling me the best game plan is to take the ball out of his hands as fast as you possibly can? That is the best game plan based off of that stat line.
He's the best. They're got offensive line troubles. I don't think the defense is anything all that great. Like, there's just, you got DJ Moore, and I think that's like your best player,
and he's
everybody else
above average wide receiver.
Yes. So I put them down at the bottom. I don't expect much from them. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I don't expect much.
DJ Moore is wide receiver 2 or 3 in your fantasy. Yeah, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, the Brownies.
So I got to decide here. Where do I want to put them at? It's really, they have one really confusing X factor that could be a big thing with them.
The sexual predator quarterback?
Yes. And the problem is, like, terrible human being, obviously. But as far as talent-wise, we saw in Houston, like, for a while, he looked like a top 5 quarterback in Houston. And he sat out for a whole year. And he was suspended for almost a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And that Browns team, once he got there and got to play, looked like one of the worst teams in the league once he got there.
I agree. I think
so, like, it was hard because I thought they had some things rolling when he wasn't there. Nick Chubb suffered the most. I think you know that personally, as a Nick Chubb fantasy owner, that he looked awful because they were trying to do too much. I feel like they were trying to do too much passing.
Which is funny because that's what they needed when Baker was there. They should have passed more. He's a gunslinger. Now you have a more mobile quarterback. Now you should be a more run-oriented offense. I don't.
Yeah, they did it very backwards. I'm gonna change it from my ranking here, and I'm gonna go as high as bad. They're a bad team right now. I actually had them below that. My thing is bottom of the barrel is where I had them, but I think I'm gonna move them up to bad because I think I expect a little bit more out of Deshaun Watson now that he doesn't have all that craziness going on. They have a full off season. Well, they had a full off season to prepare last year, but then he had to sit. So I mean, he sat for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I expect them to be a little better, but I can't go any higher than bad.
So I think to kind of caveat of what you said about like him sitting out, I think that definitely played into it to a degree outside of not really athleticism or being like out of the game. I think when he finally did return, the Browns were already out of it, right? So what does he need to really ball out of control for? I think the best thing for them to do is what I believe is what they did. And like kind of like what you alluded to is like I think they're just trying shit out. Like, what can we do with the talent that we have? Like, none of this matters. This is the best test that we can have because these are starting offense or starting defenses in real NFL games in the real seasons. Like, but we're already out, but we have the talent to succeed. Let's see what we can, let's see what we can do. I wish they had that same mentality with Baker, but whatever.
Run first and run heavy.
Yeah, I never
run first, run second, and run again on third.
You know what? Fuck it, dude. 4th and 1. Let's run it. All right, the old Cowboys.
Good old Cowboys.
So I would say judge them based off of how they actually perform and not the paper version that we always see.
Well, oh man, I'm still gonna put them where I have them, which is right there where you got them right now. I still think they're a good team.
Yeah,
they're a good team
on paper.
On paper, they've got the pieces there. It's just so weird. This franchise, I don't understand this franchise.
They always have the pieces.
They always have some really good players. I feel like forever now, like for what 15 years now, with the exception of a few years in the middle. They've had really good pieces. They're still a really good team. Now, if this was a tier maker of expectations, they'd be down about 2 tiers for me
Yeah,
right now.
they're
Expectation. But if we're just ranking them, are they a good team? Yeah, they're a good team because they have a lot of good players. They got CD Lamb. Dak is okay, but kind of on the decline. They finally decided that it was time to cut ties with Zeke. I mean, now I think they could have also kept him on the team at a reduced contract if he would have been willing, but maybe he wouldn't have. But I thought Pollard should have been the starter last year. I was saying that
last year
like
for
Tony
sure.
Pollard should be running. I thought that the year before last year. That's why I drafted Tony Pollard last year. I'm like, I can see it. Tony Pollard is going to be a breakout running back this year. Last year now. If if the Cowboys can see it, if they can understand how good he is, and they just have to realize Zeke is good for short yardage, goal line work. He needs to be the Mike Allstott of that team, and you need to let Tony Pollard be the work done.
Yeah.
And
Let
that
Zeke be the
dynamic,
touchdown
I think, would
vulture.
have
Yeah.
worked so much better. But then they locked Zeke into that big contract, and it seemed like they felt like they had to keep using him over and over. And I'm like, but you don't.
I think that's what it was. I think Jerry Jones, like, yes, he's probably one of the better GMs, like as of scouting talent, drafting good players, signing good free agents. But I think he gets where he loses, some momentum is yes, he'll sign these players to these larger deals. He's like, fuck it, dude, I gotta get my money's worth. Like, no, you don't. Don't you want a Super Bowl, my guy? You're about to die. Like,
Yeah.
just make the right decision. Like they could have, I mean, yes, signed like I mean, I don't think they should have signed Zeke for as much as they did when they did. He was already on the decline when they signed him. And just like again, the shelf life of a running back, the kind of running back that Zeke is, and just the sharp decline year to year. Like I just did not understand. If it was Ezekiel Elliott from his time at Ohio State, then oh yeah, spend that money, dude. That dude was he was a monster. But after his second year in the NFL, like he was just a running back. You know. All right, Broncos country. Where are we riding?
We're riding in the yellow right there.
Ooh, in the bad. Okay.
Yeah, I just
Even with
I
Sean
don't
Payton
know.
there.
Is Sean an X factor for that team for sure? And
The
they were just
coach is
such a
an X
mess
factor.
last year. Yeah. I mean, just that team was such a mess last year. Injuries are a big concern from that team. Like, but who are we getting excited about on that team? Sean Payton, the guy that's not on the field.
Yeah, the coach.
And they're like maybe the third best team in their own division out of 4 teams.
I would say that.
So like
Yeah,
you got the Chiefs and the Chargers, I would say ahead of them.
I'd say
And
the
the
Raiders
Raiders,
are.
I don't know, are going to be right there with them. Potentially. So I don't know. I just think they're bad. Like I couldn't tell you many Broncos players these days. Post Peyton Manning, they're nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, and Von Miller, post Von Miller, because he was an actual Bronco. Peyton Manning was awesome, but it was definitely
he was a rental Bronco.
Yeah, I always find it funny that Peyton played for both horse teams.
A Colt to a Bronco.
Yeah. All right. Lions.
I'm gonna put them in the okay category.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment for now.
Just because, like as we were talking about earlier, I feel like they're on the incline. They're heading in the right direction. I feel like this team. I was wondering. I said this is either going to go really well or really poorly with their coach, with how crazy that dude is.
Yeah, dude,
biting people or whatever. I'm like,
yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm like, either if he doesn't win games, people are just going to say this guy is insane and keep him away from me. Or if it starts to work and he builds a culture there in Detroit, drafts the right players, people are going to they're going to laugh about it. They're going to have a good time. They're going to buy into it. They're going to be like, oh, look how easygoing our coach is. And it just feels like it's starting to work out for them. They got Aiden Hutchinson to anchor the defensive line, like we were talking about. Jared Goff, underrated quarterback.
I, I think
The receivers they got there, they got Jameer Gibbs they just drafted.
Mhm.
I feel like they're kind of on the upswing now. So I got to put them in that okay category. Maybe on the lower end of the okay category, but still in the okay category.
Yeah, I gotta say, the coach Campbell, Dan Campbell, I think he is the Ed Ogeron of the NFL. Like, I think he's one of those coaches where it's like he doesn't have to be the play caller. He doesn't have to really build the schemes or install the game plan. Like, I think that's something he could definitely trust in his coordinators if he has good ones. Like, he's definitely the motivator. Like, that is what I would want in a coach if I played. Like, some the quiet coaches or like the young eccentric guys, like whatever. Like, yes, you're smart, yes, you're very creative with your play calling, but I want someone that's gonna, like, take my face mask and smash their head against my helmet to mode. Like, that's the kind of shit that I want. That's what I feel Dan Campbell is.
Yes, that is definitely him in a nutshell, from what we've seen at least.
Fuck yeah. All right, the Oilers.
The Oilers, they go in the awful category. They are definitely trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I would agree.
You got like Derrick Henry's still really good, but you
He's
got to
old.
imagine
He's
the
old.
wheels are going to fall
Yeah.
off soon. You got DeAndre Hopkins, past his time. You got Ryan Tannehill at quarterback,
A wide
past
receiver.
his time. Malik Willis behind him, who did not look good last year. Never he
Again,
played.
Liberty University.
Yeah,
Like,
there's just nothing to get excited about on that team. Like I picture them. So like years and years ago, obviously at this point, I used to think to myself every year, this was another thing I would think about as far as picking out a team, like which team you feel like most people just forget that they exist. And years ago, I used to always think of that team as the Chiefs. Like because like they would never have anything going on. You wouldn't like they weren't like the Lions where everyone made fun of them, but they weren't at the top of the league early, either. I feel like the Titans have assumed that role. Like you almost forget that they exist sometimes because there's just nothing about them. They're not necessarily the worst team, a big joke. They're not,
yeah.
a big New York or, but they just have nothing exciting going on about them except for maybe Derrick Henry. But again, kind of towards the end of his career, you got to imagine it's coming soon.
Yeah. I mean,
Though he's fun to watch. I hope he keeps playing at this high level, but
I
we'll
mean,
see how long it lasts.
I hope he does. I mean, he just the picture of him sitting next to Mark Ingram is still always my favorite. Just like the sheer like this different size, and they're both amazing Alabama running backs, but it's like the sheer size difference. I know that if available in the draft for the fantasy, like I won't be taking Derrick Henry this year. Like I said it last year, like that was probably the last year that I would comfortably draft him, especially as high as I did, which was still not very high.
Which was what, pick 4 in the first round last year? 3 or
Henry?
pick 4?
Actually, I don't remember.
I think you had.
I thought I got him second. I thought I scored Chubb and then I got Henry round 2, if not
Oh,
later.
it was the other way around. You got Henry in round 1, Chubb
Oh, I
in round
stole
2.
I stole Chubb. Yeah.
Because Miranda was thinking about taking him but didn't, and then you were pumped when she passed on him
immediately. Yeah, he was highlighted. Like, all right, we're click when ready. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll see. But that franchise is, I don't know, not bad because I do like Mike Vrabel as a coach, but it just seems like they need some fresh faces in there, and I feel like they have one of the older teams as far as starters go.
Yeah, they need a lot of wins in the draft and free agency at the end of this year.
Yeah.
All right, the Acme Packers.
Yes, Green Bay. I'm gonna put them in bad.
Really bad, not awful.
I put them in bad. Well, I just look at some of the teams that are going to end up in awful. Like I don't consider them as bad as the Bears and Cardinals. You know what I mean? Like I don't quite put them at that level of bad. But the Packers, we'll see what's going on with Jordan Love this year. He's looked good so far in preseason. We'll see if that at all translates over or not. I don't know. It's completely unknown because it's always been Aaron Rodgers there. So we don't know what we're getting. Jordan Love. Got Aaron Jones there, who's really good. Think he's, good running back. Receivers, they got Christian Watson that they say is all right. I didn't watch him a whole lot last year.
He'll be pretty good.
So I don't know.
He'll be pretty
Yeah,
good.
he was pretty good. But was that a byproduct of Rodgers, or is he still going to be good?
I
So
mean,
there's a lot of unknown there.
I think he's good without Rodgers. I think with Rodgers, obviously everything looks better when you have a quarterback who's talent wise probably arguably the best quarterback, like
Yeah,
thrower of the ball. Is probably Aaron Rodgers.
yeah, he can sling it downfield pretty easily.
Effortlessly.
Yeah,
All right, Texans.
awful.
Awful. Yeah, I agree.
They're awful. And a lot of that starts in the front office with that team. There's no stability there. How many coaches have they had in the last 3 to 4 years? Don't they have like a new
All of them.
coach every year? They get like a coach and they get like 1 year and they're like, well, you didn't win the Super Bowl, so you're fired.
Yeah, I mean,
Like things are falling apart. It's all when that Deshaun Watson stuff started. Like that's when they really started falling apart. You find out there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes. Players are just JJ Watt left the franchise, Hopkins left the franchise. So they've just been so bad. I'm really rooting for D'Amico Ryans because I love D'Amico Ryans. So for him to get the head coaching spot, I hope he gets a real chance
I
to
think
be the
he'll.
coach.
I think he'll. What will happen to him is what happened to Todd Bowles in New York. Because like there's always the fight for more coaches of color, which there should be, especially if they're good. And I think
Yeah.
the only way they get the opportunity is bullshit teams, unless you're
Yeah.
you know um you're lucky and you go to let's say what's his face, the Steelers. I can't remember. I can't.
Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. Like, what a great situation for him.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's not a good coach and he wouldn't do good on a less successful franchise and team. I think Tomlin would have done just fine elsewhere, but he definitely was gifted a great team to take over. But as far
Yeah.
as like a lot of other,
franchise with more stability.
yeah, but as far as like some like other, rookie head coaches or like newer head coaches of color that get hired, like they get fucking shafted, my guy.
Yeah. Basically, anyone that keeps going to Houston. I thought the one guy did pretty good there. I can't remember his name now, but he took over for a bit. I'm like, hey, he did pretty serviceable considering what he was given. Team was rallying behind him. They're like, oh, we don't care. You're fired too. Goodbye.
Or what's his face from the Lions coach for so long that took him out of obscurity and they're like double digit win seasons, like got him to the playoffs like once. They're like, nope, you're fired. Like, what the fuck?
Jim Caldwell?
Yeah,
I
Caldwell.
think
Yeah,
okay.
Caldwell. You're like, why? It's so dumb.
That makes sense.
All right, the Colts.
Awful.
Yeah, you think I'm downright? I mean, you're
Awful.
probably right.
I mean, considering the news that came out earlier today, or was that yesterday?
I saw it today.
Okay. So I think it was today with Jonathan Taylor, best player on your team, unhappy. And so funny, they said that they do not want to pay him top dollar. They don't think he's worth it. But on the trade market, they want top dollar because he's worth it.
Yeah,
So which way is it? Is he worth it or is he not worth it? Because if you just tried to tell him and it went public that you don't really think he's worth it, and you're trying to tell all these other teams, oh, but he is worth it. So give us some high picks here.
yeah. I mean, I think
So
that goes back to how just basically what people are mad about the NFL being a good old boy thing. It's like whenever it comes to you know the player, no rights, but when it's like team to team, it's like, look, bro, this is how it really is. I just didn't want to pay him, but I need you to give me what I believe is worth. Stupid.
and I mean their defense, I think they were not great last year. Offense, you got Michael Pittman, who was decent 2 years ago. I mean, bad quarterback play last year.
Yeah,
We got to talk a minute about Anthony Richardson being a Florida Gators guy. I was really, really excited for him to take over the team last year after seeing flashes of his potential his first year.
yep,
Said, man, I can't wait for this guy to take over. He looks like he could be good in time.
yeah, oh, for sure.
And he showed flashes of just how awesome he could be last year at Florida, but he also showed, I felt like, a lot more of how much he really could benefit from staying in college. I'm a big most of the time, I'm a big fan of people staying in college if they've only had 1 year. Like Mark Sanchez, I'm like, he needs to stay in college
Yeah.
1 more year. Nope, he was ready to come out. He was like a number 6 pick by the Jets. I'm like, I don't think that guy's going to pan out their future. Like he's not going to be their franchise quarterback, and he didn't.
Yeah.
I see that with Richardson, and I say that as a Florida fan who watched him play several games. He has a ton of raw talent there.
Yes.
And then now I thought the worst thing that the Colts could do was name him week 1 starter and to rush him into it because I think he rushed out of college and I think he's rushing into the starting position. Like, what's the rush? Are you going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I
No.
Yeah, and it drives me
Through
insane.
without him.
It drives me insane.
No.
Like whenever you see stuff on like social media and stuff, you're like, look at him make this throw. Like, yeah, dude, he's inside on turf with no defensive pressure and
No
really,
pads.
yeah, no pads. He's fully like relaxed. Like I can do something similar if I was in the shape he was. Like I don't get the hype. I don't get the hype on practice, like being good at practice. Like you fucking know the plays, you know the defense, you know their weaknesses because you literally drill against them for hours every week. I
Like, when it comes to him, don't get me wrong. I'm going to root for him. I really want to see him
I do
succeed
too. I
being
do
a
too.
Florida guy.
I do too.
I would love, and I would like to see his skill set that he has because he's like such a freak
The consistent
athlete,
skill
right?
set. Yeah.
Yes, I want to see that develop because man, he would be so much fun to watch
Yeah. Oh yeah.
if he could dial in his consistency and his accuracy. He could be the most exciting player in the league to watch. I
Especially.
really want to see him succeed, but I worry that everything on his timeline is so rushed that
It.
he's gonna just
I agree.
gonna flop.
I agree, and I think the reason I think he has a huge potential to be successful with the Colts is again because they're indoors.
Yeah,
A mobile quarterback indoors. I mean, like, just look how somewhat mobile Drew Brees was in New
yeah,
Orleans, and look what he was able to do. Like, if he could, especially being under 6 foot or at 6 foot, like him being able to comfortably move about the pocket, knowing that like the grass isn't going to come up, it's not wet, it's not like just home games for Drew Brees were just effortless.
yeah.
They had one of the best records during his time there, and I think the same
Hmm.
can be said for Anthony Richardson if he gets his shit under control. I hope they have good coaches that get him in the right spot because what a waste of talent that would be if he does what a lot of these other quarterbacks do, where they get in this cycle of they get drafted too early, they get started too early, and then they lose
Hmm.
their confidence too early, and then they become terrible quarterbacks too
And
early.
they're out of the league, yeah. And but here's something to think about too. Why I'm down on the Colts a little bit is think about what we were talking about earlier. Mobile quarterbacks tend to get hurt more often,
Yep,
right?
100%.
What happened to their franchise quarterback a
Yeah,
few years ago?
they're somewhat mobile field general that generational talent. Yeah,
Yeah, he was incredible, but they couldn't assemble an offensive line to keep him upright. And I still don't know that they have all that good of an offensive line. And so you're going to have a mobile quarterback who's going to run out there and take hits, but is also going to take hits in the pocket. Look at their quarterbacks over the last few years. Granted, they were aging veterans. They looked awful there.
yeah.
Matt Ryan looked terrible there. I knew he was getting older and everything, but like he looked so much worse in his 1 year at the Colts than he did at any point with the Falcons.
I
So I just don't have a lot of faith in that franchise right now.
I don't either. And for Anthony Richardson, like there's 17 games, right? You know that there's going to be that one welcome to the NFL hit that's going to
Yep.
fucking make or break him. Like someone's going to tee up on him because he's going to be a mobile quarterback. He's not going to be looking all around, scanning the field like he should because I didn't realize the game was so fast at this level. Like, yeah, no shit. These are
Yeah.
freaks out here, dude. Like, you're gonna get hit, and that's gonna make or break them.
Yep.
All right, Shagwires.
I am putting them in your okay category, but like at the very top of
Yeah,
the okay
yeah, I
category.
agree. I agree.
So I just can't quite put them on the Buffalo and Cowboys level to start the season, but I would not be surprised to see them easily move in by like a third of the season in.
Mm,
Obviously, Trevor Lawrence came in a few years ago with Urban Meyer. Oh gosh.
trash.
and he about destroyed Trevor Lawrence and that whole franchise. And man, what a quick turnaround for them. What that just shows you how important coaching is right there.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
turnaround from Urban Meyer, which I hope he never. I don't want to see him ever again. I already didn't like him after what he did to Florida, leaving.
Well, you're gonna watch the
'Cause-
documentary, right? You gotta see him then.
Yes, yeah, I gotta. I'm saying I hope I never see him, in the NFL coaching anymore because I don't want to see him anymore.
I think the only way you'll see him is if like the rest of his coaching career, that he's gifted an absolute stacked demon of a team, and as soon as they're bad, oh, my heart hurts, or my family issue, like,
Gotta go.
fuck you, dude.
But I mean, so let's think about it though. The Jaguars, they got Trevor Lawrence. The backfield, they got ETN, and who's their new running back? Tank Bigsby.
Yes, yeah.
So he can pretty much do the things that ETN can't do.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that ETN has that college experience with Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
So I like the backfield dynamic that they have. You got out pass catchers. You got Calvin Ridley coming back. Bit of an X factor. How good is he going to be after sitting out for a year?
Yeah, I'd say he's a bit of a gamble.
I mean, I hear he looks really good in practice, really fast, making really good cuts. So we'll see once it comes game time.
Christian
who's
Kirk,
their other receiver?
Christian Kirk. And he outperformed last year, I would say.
He did. We were all bragging on the Jaguars for that contract that he got.
I drafted him.
Turned out to, huh?
And I drafted him in full confidence.
Yes. and the fact that like he lived up to his contract. We were just talking about that a minute ago, and he's one of the few guys that it feels like they went out and earned the contract they just signed.
Yeah, I think for him before, like, he wasn't really being utilized to his fullest extent. So like when someone took the chance and gave him the money, he's like, all right, look, this is. I mean, will that happen? This year? Who knows? But hopefully, I did enjoy. He was one of the only players that I didn't shelve constantly. Like, as far as receivers, like, he pretty much stayed in my lineup because I could trust him. So, I mean, he would have those
he was pretty good.
He would have those giant weeks, and then he would go a couple weeks with nothing. Or I would, as far as fantasy, nothing, but he's still a productive receiver. All right.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Oh, wait, and then you got Evan Ingram. He was really good.
Evan Ingram, yep.
And then who else did they have on the defensive side? They had Josh Allen, defensive Josh Allen, who was really good. And I think they have some good. I know they got a decent secondary, I believe. They got Trayvon Walker. That was the other guy.
Yeah,
linebacker. He's pretty good. I can't remember. Did they get a big name or did they just lose a big name in their secondary?
I think they had Miles Jack, right? Isn't he gone?
I think I saw he retired. He signed with the Eagles and then he retired.
Interesting.
I think that was him that I saw. I could be mistaken. So, yeah, again, a team on the up and up. Put them at the top of the okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, the chefs.
Awful. Awfully elite.
Awfully elite for sure. Yeah.
I mean, they are the closest thing that we're going to have to a dynasty in modern day football.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing to the Patriots dynasty thus far, as far as consistency and just domination.
And they just look like they're going to be good for a while. Between you got Patrick Mahomes there, best quarterback in the league right now. Got his buddy Kelsey there. And apparently, even if he doesn't have good receivers, that just doesn't matter. He's just going to use everybody that's out there.
Yeah, I mean,
it reminds me of the Patriots that they had Brady, Gronkowski, and some okay receivers, and he made the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that really about Brady's entire career. You don't know these receivers outside of Randy Moss, David Boston, and
I mean, you have Wes Welker.
Yeah, but think of Wes Welker. He came from Miami. He was a special teams guy. He's the only person to ever field a punt, return a kick, and kick a field goal and an extra point in the same game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom Brady made him a household name. Same with Julian Edelman, who was a quarterback at Kent State. I think Patrick Mahomes is similar to Tom Brady on that, where it's like it doesn't matter as long as if you put a uniform on, like he's gonna fucking get you the ball if you're eligible to have the ball downfield, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And their running backs are serviceable right now. You got
Pachenko's
Pacheco and
good.
you
Yeah,
got
he's good.
McKinnon.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're great.
So defense is all right. They got some good players on that side of the ball too. So as
Yeah,
long as you got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, at least for the next minimum 5 to 7 years, they're probably going to just hang out in that elite category up at the top.
likely. I mean, well, I mean, it really depends on Andy Reid. Like if he retires, like that's probably going to be a big shift in their performance, depending on like.
Yeah, I just don't see him leaving anytime in the immediate future.
I wouldn't see a like if I put myself in his shoes, like I don't really see a reason. Like you're super successful, you're doing nothing
Yeah.
but solidifying your name as a coach. Like fuck it, dude. Until you say like it's starting to trend downwards, dude. Hang out, dude.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. You're in the best spot in football right now. Keep it going.
All right, the St. Louis LA Rams.
I have them in the bad category.
Yep, I'd say that's fair.
So they loaded up and sold out for a Super Bowl and they got it. So
Yep.
you can say it's worth it
Yep.
for sure. But now they're going to have to pay for it because like that was a championship that was bought. You know,
100%.
Like
But I
you
think
loaded up. You brought in all those players. You brought in Stafford. You brought in Ramsey. You brought in who else did they bring in on that team? OBJ, right?
yeah, they had OBJ.
They had I mean, man, they brought in a ton of players for that team. But we all knew we're going all in for a Super Bowl this year, and they got it, so it paid off for them. But they're having to deal with all that dead cap space, and you got some aging players, some people that have left,
I
and
think
they just look like they're going to be rebuilding for a while. And it's just kind of hard to tell, like, what team are we going to get this year? Because I feel like for a Super Bowl winner, they had one of the biggest drop offs that I can think of
since the Bucks.
right after winning. What's that?
Said since the 2003 Bucks. That's probably the
Yes,
second
ever
biggest
since that
drop
Colts-
off.
Ever since that Colts Monday night game that
Ugh.
began the drop off,
Set you back a decade and a half, man.
I saw that some highlights of that somewhere on TV like a month ago or something, and like I'm like I got to turn this off. Like it still upsets me. Like I remember that game so vividly. Of like we won the Super Bowl, we're riding high. That game happened, and then they were never the same up until
weren't they like up at
2020.
half, like
We're up
20
in the
something?
fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It was like an impossible.
This
Game's in the bag. I was almost ready to go to sleep. I only didn't because I'm like, well, it's Peyton Manning and it's my Bucks.
Exactly.
So, I want to watch this to the end until they're starting to knee the ball. I want to watch till the end, and then I really should have just gone to bed.
Yeah, you'd have been a lot happier.
That was depressing watching that.
There is an interview somewhere of Peyton Manning talking about that game, and just like for him, like how unbelievable it was to have that come back against the team that had like the most, the third, second or third most dominant defensive run in NFL history behind, either the 85 Bears or the 2001 or 2000 Ravens. It's like those are like the three defensive powerhouses you think of.
Yep.
All right, the Bolts. The other Bolts, the football Bolts.
I have them in is okay for your category.
Yep.
But again, I'd probably put them on the upper side of okay.
Yeah, I would say so. They're in a pretty terrible division outside of this guy right here. So it's like, as long as you're better than the other two dickheads, like you're in good shape.
You should be all right. They've got a good team there. I think the main thing that's been holding them back has been their coaching. I mean, let's talk about that decision from, was it last year or was it the year before? You can run out the clock, have a tie game, and make the playoffs, or you can risk losing, not make the playoffs. They had nothing to gain from winning that game and everything to lose by losing it. And then they freaking we're going to go for it. But we gave the Raiders the ball back in great position. And the Raiders said, screw it. We're going to kick a field goal and win. Yeah. And the Chargers got eliminated from making it to the playoffs off that terrible, their coaches have been holding them back. They got the players there for sure. You got Austin Eckler, top 3 running back right now.
They'll probably go first off the board.
Yeah. Justin Herbert, a top 5, at least top 7 quarterback, depending on
Yeah.
who you ask. You've got Keenan Allen, who's still pretty good, although he's aging. Mike Williams, same thing. You've got a couple of good other receivers at the 3 and 4. They've got good players on both sides of the ball right now. It's just their coaching. If it wasn't for their coaching, I would almost be tempted to move them up a tier. But right now, that's as high until they can prove that they can make the right decisions in crunch time. I gotta put them in that okay, but on the high side of okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, like you said, I think there's some of the coaching calls are, I mean, across the board, really. I've seen outside of the experienced ones of like your Andy Reid's, your Bill Belichick's, like there's a lot of fucking stupidity. Like these are head coaches and like they're making play clock errors or time, like, calling timeouts they don't have or just not being familiar with the rules. It's like that is like your main job. Like you have coordinators to help get your respective side of the ball ready. Like you should be the one knowing this stuff. Like that's what Bill Belichick does. That's why people hate him because they think he cheats. Like no, he just uses the rules to his advantage. He knows the rules. But it's like all these younger coaches, like they don't take that time. It's like it definitely shows.
Yep. Hopefully they get it right this year.
Yeah.
I
All right.
enjoy watching them.
The Dolphins.
Dolphins. So I'm looking at where I have them ranked here in front of me. I think right now in the moment I'm going to move them up a little bit. I'm going to put them in the goose category.
Yeah, the Goose. Yeah, okay.
They're at the bottom of the goose category. Their problem is Tua.
Yep.
Like that's why I earlier I had them in the okay category. Again, another kind of top of the okay category. But I'm gonna put him up there. I'm gonna hope that he has a healthier season. I'm hoping that they are going to prioritize um, keeping him healthy. The offensive line. Hey, we got to really pull together. Tua, we got to like have some sort of a signal, something we call out. If we say it, just dive, just hit the deck and fall down, and we'll worry about the next play. They got to do something if someone's coming blindside to hit him, or if anyone's coming to hit him at all. He needs to do like what Brady
Yeah, I
does.
was
And
about to say
people
the
would
same
make fun of
thing.
Brady.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Brady. He's being a little bitch. He's just falling to the
22
ground. No, he's
years
being
later.
smart. Exactly. I'm sorry, but he's playing smart football. He's not taking the big hit, which is smart to do. But I mean, if you look outside of the Tua injury, I think Tua is good. You seem to like him down there.
Yeah.
You got Tyreek Hill, top receiver in the game, top 3-4 receiver in the game, and that speed, man, he still got it.
Yeah.
Waddle, another incredible receiver, maybe the best duo. You got Gesicki is still down there at tight end, who I think is pretty. Is Gesicki still there? Is Gesicki gone now? I can't remember if he moved on. He might have moved on actually.
Yeah,
I would have to look and
think
see.
I think he did move on. I also think they didn't really utilize him how they should have.
As much as they should.
Well, Gesicki, he's a receiving tight end. Like he's not really a good blocker, but they're like putting him in like these schemes where it's like he was like relied on as a blocker. Like why don't you just make him a third receiver? Like the dude can fucking catch. That's what he did at fucking Penn State. He was basically a big ass receiver.
Yeah. They moved on. I think he moved in the division. I forget which team he's on, but he's with somebody else in the division now.
Well,
What is he?
episode
Maybe the
2
Patriots or something.
In episode 2, we will go over further rosters and such. So
Okay, but yeah, defense is on the up and up. The team's on the upswing. So bad side, lower side. I don't see the bad side. The lower side of good is where I'm gonna put them for now.
alrighty. Okay. All right. The Vikings.
Vikings. I am gonna put them on. Well, for yours, the bad. I'm gonna put them in bad right now. Yeah, I think they're on the decline. Again, they'd be on the upper side of bad. I just think their off-season moves. It's not a team that's trying to trend up to win a Super Bowl. Like I feel like they're trending down right now.
Yeah, they lost 2 offensive weapons. Granted, Adam Thielen is on the back 9 of his career, but like Dalvin Cook's gone.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook is gone. They've lost a lot of defensive players, which is the part that concerns me even more because even on offense, Madison's pretty good, but yeah, still you're better off with Dalvin Cook and Madison rather than just Madison. Is it their new receiver? It remains to be seen. Was Jordan Addison? Remains to be seen how well he's going to fit there. Is he going to be like Justin Jefferson 2.0? or because or is he going to fill in some other role? Thielen was good. I mean, on a ton of catches, but he's very reliable in the end zone
Yeah, red
when it
zone is
comes
really
crunch
good.
time
Yep.
down there. So he's really good down there where it counts, third downs and touchdowns, and that's such a critical part of the game. So losing him is not good. I just feel like and I think last year their loss so heartbreaking because what did they lose in the first round of the playoffs?
Yeah, they
Who
were
did they
like,
lose to last year?
uh,
I cannot remember who they lost to in the first round last year, but it was a game that they really shouldn't have lost. They did.
yeah, but
So
they went like
feel
what?
like that might have broke them a little bit. I don't know. I've been watching the quarterbacks documentary on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought Kirk Cousins was all right before. Like I really like that dude. I really want to see
Yeah,
them do well.
yeah, he seems like a nice guy, like a legitimately nice guy.
He seems like he's just like your prototypical dad that somehow accidentally ended up playing football for all these years.
Yeah.
Talking, looking at like his life and like the outfits and everything, and just his personality, seems like he's just kind of like the cool dad that just ended up playing football. So I'd like to see them do really well, but I'm just worried that they're going to slide down. Now, for reference, again, my tier maker is a little bit different than yours. So my yellow category I had as average teams.
Mhm.
You kind of have them as bad. So I'm following color scheme of what I have on mine, but we're putting it on yours. So I did have them in average, but on the upper side of average.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Losing a lot of offensive weapons. I think Kirk Cousins is at least. I think he's underrated as far as like what people give him credit for. And like last year with fantasy football, how I told you, I'm like he's an easy 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. Like you can count on him being better than average as a quarterback. And I think that's why they're so successful, or have been at least, because then you had some good offensive weapons, and he's just Kirk Cousins just gets it done, man. But I don't think they're going to be able to overcome those offensive losses for sure, though. From this offseason.
Yeah.
So I
They're
think
just trending in the
where
wrong
you have them
direction.
is pretty accurate. I think it's somewhat close to what I have as well.
Okay.
All right, I think I know where this one's going, but the Giants.
Put them right behind the Vikings.
Yeah, I was gonna make them awful. I think they're fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. They
I mean,
have
they're pretty bad. Like they're on the bottom side of your bad category
oh
here for
yeah,
sure.
100%.
I just again, I don't think they're quite as bad as Bears and the Cardinals. I mean, look at the teams that are down there right now. I don't put them quite that low. I think I'm gonna call coaching back into this. People seem to really like that coach there, which I think is always a plus.
Dable, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, Brian Dable, like
Yeah,
people like him, and I think having a good coach or a coach that people at least like and respect, I think is such an important thing.
I, I
Daniel Jones, go ahead.
as I say, I think where they suffer is quarterback. I don't
Yeah,
understand that draft pick in college.
nobody understood that. No one did.
In college, he was an average quarterback in the ACC, which is if you're not Florida State or Clemson, who cares? You know, like you're a Duke quarterback. Again, basketball school.
Yeah, it was a confusing pick. I remember watching that one on ESPN, and everyone was kind of like, "Who?
I mean, like
Why are we getting him like right now?"
he's
It felt like a reach of a pick.
yeah, he's definitely and yeah. I mean, I get it. He's tall and he's athletic, but he also gets like taken out by snipers constantly. Like he has like giraffe legs where like he gets too. He's running too fast for his own good, and then he trips up on his own feet, and then fucking field snipers get him, and he tackled himself. You know.
Oh yeah, that's the play that everyone's going to remember in his career when he could have and should have had that touchdown on that long ass run
Yeah.
and just tripped over himself. The turf monster got him.
Oh man.
So, but I mean, you got Barkley there. That's good.
For a year.
I don't even know who are the receivers.
I think
I don't even know who's there.
Sterling Shepard still.
Yeah. The one thing they got going for him also, well, the other thing is Darren Waller. So that's good.
Yeah, but who knows if that'll translate to a new team
Yeah.
with a quarterback that's not. I mean, Derek Carr could throw to Darren Waller. Daniel
Yeah.
Jones is not a quarterback. I mean, he is by trade, but by skill wise,
Yeah.
I'd say he's a basketball player.
So we'll put them in the bottom end of that category there.
All right. Jets, Jets.
I have them in the okay category.
Yeah. Underselling them
Hmm.
there. You think just the, are you doing it out of spite for Kimmel, or is that like legitimate?
That's a little bit of it. That might be a little bit of motivation there. I can't let them have. I mean, I've already given them the Dolphins there in the good slash goose
Yeah, we'll hope
category
he
there.
doesn't. We'll hope he doesn't see this.
Oh, I know. He was asking me about it. He's probably waiting for this thing to come out. I'm sure he'll watch it tomorrow, or whenever you get it, out and produced and everything, because he's already looking for it. But I don't know. Just they're they're good, but let's see how much, because I feel like got a lot of pressure on you right now. Like got Hard Knocks there
Mhm.
recording. That's
Mhm.
usually a distraction for teams. Aaron Rodgers, people doing like what I did, making the comparison to Tom Brady, because everyone was making the debate who's the better quarterback, which I don't know why that was ever a debate. But is he at the same skill level? And now you got Brady moved to a new team, won Super Bowl in year one. You got him moving to it, and that's the team he wanted to go to. He kept saying he wanted to go to New York. So all right, you landed where you wanted to land. You've brought in some of your guys, picked up Dalvin Cook. You got a lot of things going in the right direction for you. I just wonder, will it be too much? That New York media, man, they are tough on their teams. I feel like we see a lot of people crumble there. I don't know that we'll see necessarily Aaron Rodgers crumble, but like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen when they start losing some games? Is it going to be everyone's getting real pissed off at each other? And they expect to be a powerhouse this year. And
Yeah.
again, I also have to point out that this category on mine is different than yours. This category on mine is playoffs, like someone that's a playoff team. So for yours it says okay, but on mine it said playoff team. So I think they could be a borderline playoff team. Just I don't know that I can rank them in the tier maker any higher than that.
I think like you said with the pressure of New York teams, I think the only people I'd say Aaron Rodgers is probably the only one who won't be affected by the pressure of it being a New York team. I think he'll do the whole spell out, RELAX, like relax.
Mhm.
I think he does far too much ayahuasca to even be bothered by
Yeah.
New York media. So I think like he is in that is I wouldn't say a perfect spot, but I'd say he's the perfect quarterback, at least his mentality for that market.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
he straight up
absolutely.
doesn't give a shit, so it doesn't matter, so he's just gonna go out there and
Doesn't
play
care.
regardless. And I think that's exactly what that franchise needs is just a quarterback who's not gonna fold.
Oh, but as far as the pressure and how they start off, look, have you seen their schedule starting out?
I haven't looked at the schedules now.
Okay, so just I'm gonna give you their first 6 weeks. This is what they have to go through in 6 weeks. You got to start off with the Bills.
Okay, I mean, yeah, divisional.
Yeah, but I mean you got the Bills. I mean top team there. You've got the Cowboys in Dallas.
Okay,
That might
yeah,
be tough.
yeah, in Dallas, yeah.
Yep. You got the Patriots. They should dismantle them. That should be no problem. You got the Chiefs coming to town. And then you have the Broncos in Denver. I don't know, whatever. Then you have the Eagles. That's their first 6 games. 4 out of their first 6: Bills, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Eagles. You have the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl in your first 6 weeks. That's a rough schedule. And what if this team starts 2-4? Now what?
Yeah,
People are going to be at each other's throats. And I could see where that could go south quickly. The second half of their schedule is a lot easier.
I mean
I don't know. Let's see how they start off.
I would say the only like silver lining I see in that first 6 games is one divisional opponent,
Yeah.
which is big. I mean, they can lose those other games. Like, I mean, sure they don't want to. Like any team doesn't want to, but those losing those non-divisional games would be obviously weighed a lot less in the grand scheme early on.
Yeah.
Because
You
like,
just need to win your division.
well, yeah. So if their division is mainly back half, they could benefit, especially if they stay healthy,
Yeah.
benefit from playing the later divisional games. I think divisional games up front are kind of like a double-edged sword. Like they can be great for you because you could possibly get an easy win and get that and further on your division, but also you can get that early loss and be that much further behind in your division.
Yeah.
All right, the Al Davises,
Awful.
awful.
It's an awful team.
You got Jimmy G is your quarterback now, so yeah,
Exactly.
I would agree. I would agree.
You got Jimmy G there. You lost Darren Waller.
I mean, if quarterback talent went based off of handsomeness, then boom up here, but
but unfortunately it doesn't. So I don't know. He's often injured, and so if he goes down with an injury, like what's your backup plan? Who's quarterback number 2 in Oakland right now? Let me see if I can find Oakland Raiders roster. Number 2 we got here. You've got Brian Hoyer. That's probably their number 2. Age 37 Brian Hoyer.
he still plays.
I guess. Didn't even know that till just now.
Good for you, Brian.
The other 2 guys on the team, never heard of them. Are they rookies? One's a rookie and one has 1 year experience.
Well, who's the
Chase Garbers from California? Saying his last name right? Probably not. Then Aiden O'Connell from Purdue.
Okay.
That's it. So when Jimmy G goes down, who's coming in to save that franchise? No Darren Waller. You got and you got Devontae Adams, but if he doesn't have anyone throwing the ball,
I think Devontae
their defense has always been bad.
I think Devontae Adams is going to force his way out like midway, like trade deadline. I don't think Devontae Adams is going to be on that fucking team.
He went there to go play with his buddy Derek Carr, and now Derek Carr is gone.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out of there as fast as possible.
As he should. They got Jacoby Myers. They picked him up, but again, if you don't have a good quarterback or an injured quarterback, how good are you going to be?
Yeah. All right, the Hawks.
I have them in the okay category. Playoffs for me, but okay on yours.
Okay.
We saw right in the middle, right in the meaty part of the okay. Like they're like right in the middle of the whole league. We saw they definitely exceeded expectations last year. We thought with Russ gone that they were going to tank and be a bottom 5 team.
Yeah, Gino definitely surprised for sure. But I think, with the addition of the Ohio State receiver, I can't say his name without destroying it. So with that Metcalf and
Najigba.
Yeah, I don't I think their wide receiving core is awesome. Plus Kenneth Walker in the backfield, like their offense, I think could easily be one of like the top 3 offenses. But defense, I know they're trying to rebuild the Legion of Boom, but I definitely think their offense is way further along than what their defensive development is. So I think where you have them is, I'd say about fair. I think that's about where I have them too, but I think that they could teeter. If the offense can get hot, I don't really think the lackluster defense will be that much of an issue.
Had some decent people, I think, last year. They got Bobby Wagner back. He's back with them.
That's good.
After going to
go to the Rams?
Rams for a little bit. Yeah, he went to the Rams for a bit, but he's back with them. We got Kobe Bryant, who's really good on defense.
Yeah.
Who was their other really good guy that I'm thinking of? Tariq Woolen. I think he was pretty good. Jamal Adams back with them.
Oh shit. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think he was injured. He was injured last year. I think he got hurt at the beginning of the year, like a knee deal. But yeah, I mean, if they're healthy,
got some good players here. Diggs. I cannot say his. I'm tongue tied right now. Quandre Diggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've got some good pieces on defense, and the offense is good enough. And I mean you've got San Francisco is going to be tough, but you have the Rams and the Cardinals, so that should be 4 wins for you right there.
Yeah,
at least 3, if not 4 wins for you right there in the division. So I think they could do pretty good. Yeah, like you said, Kim Walker was really good, and they got that other guy that they picked up this year. Another picked up another running back, and I cannot think of his name. Zach Charbonnet.
Oh, Zach,
Charbonnet.
yeah, Zach Charbonnet. Yeah, so he played for Michigan for a bit. Then he went to UCLA. He's fucking good. He's a stud.
Yeah, so like they have a really good 1-2 punch at running back. We've got probably maybe the best or second best trio of receivers. Maybe you could make an argument against either the Bengals or them. Maybe has the best trio of receivers right now.
I'd say
Like
that's
that offense,
I'd say your old Buccaneers should be right up there as well.
they got a good duo. I don't know
No,
trio yet. I have to
what's his
see.
face? Was it Parker? Whatever the Park. That guy.
Yeah,
He's gonna be fucking good.
he's looking good.
Yeah, he's gonna be good.
We'll see.
All right, your absolute all-time favorite NFC team outside of the Bucks, the Eagles.
Gross. Eagles. As much as it pains me, we got to put them in elite.
Yeah, you still think they're gonna carry it over?
I don't know. It's hard to say because the NFC East, they don't typically repeat champions and everything, but like right now, it's that roster looks so loaded. Jalen Hurts really came along last year. He's the guy I meant to pick in fantasy football, and I panic picked and I accidentally landed on Dak instead, and I was kicking myself. Second, I picked Dak that I did not pick Jalen Hurts. He was my pick for like a breakout player last year,
Mm-hmm.
and he looked really good. They picked up AJ Brown, looked really good. They have Devontae Smith.
Yeah, he just needs to put on some
Devontae
weight.
Smith. Yeah, I mean, and he's good. I mean,
Yeah,
got Goddard there.
he just Smith is just really small. He just gets pushed around too much. If he has a little bit more weight on him, NFL weight, then I think he'd be truly elite.
But I mean, all they need him to be is the number 2 receiver with AJ Brown there, right? So that's
yeah,
that's fine there.
I mean, I think he'd be a lot better as a wide receiver 3, or at least the person who does like their slot routes and stuff like that, or slant routes.
Yeah.
I would say. I think that's where he would really succeed because he is so small and quick. But
yeah, he could get lost in the middle of the field.
yeah, but on the other side of the coin is someone could tee off on him in the middle going across, and he's such a little guy. Like some safety would fold him in half.
Yeah. But then I think their question mark is that running back. Looking at who they have, at DeAndre Swift, who his biggest thing I think is in the passing game, but I don't think the Eagles pass as much to the running back, so he kind of might disappear a little bit.
They're the guy
Rashad Penny, who came from the Seahawks. He's really good when he's on the field, but he's not on the field very often, which is why I drafted Ken Walker.
Yeah.
Because I knew Chris Carson goes down with injuries. I knew that Rashad Penny goes down with injuries. Chris Carson retired before the year started. Rashad Penny went down almost right away. So I was like, all right, cool. I got an RB1 in like round 14 or something,
Yeah,
who actually dropped in like week 1 or week 2 because I had to. I needed to fill a spot when Dak got hurt. I was looking, I'm like, I don't think anyone's paying attention to Ken Walker. So I'm going to drop him for like a week or 2 and then rush to get him back. And it lucked out for me and it panned out. And yeah, and then I mean he was looking awesome last year.
Yeah, again, I mean, hopefully sophomore slump doesn't affect him.
Yep. So, but I think that's where the because they've got the good offensive line though. Switching back over to Philadelphia, anchored by Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, your awesome twin, guy. Your doppelganger.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's going to be running back might be their weak point, but I mean, still with everyone else they have in defensive side of the ball, yeah, they look really good on the defensive side, and I feel like they only got better. What did they pick up? Jalen Carter. Who else did they pick up? What was that other big name that they picked up? That was somebody else. And they get like 2 guys from Georgia, or they only get 1 guy from Georgia this year. I just thinking of Jalen Carter. Or is there somebody else they picked up?
I don't remember.
I'm looking through right now. So, oh yeah, they got what was it? Their quarterback, Ringo. He came from Georgia, from that team, and then they also got the guy that I had just mentioned earlier. Got a bunch of Georgia people, Jordan Davis, but yeah, Jalen Carter was the other one that they got. So I mean, they're stacking up on defense. They were really good last year. You still got Darius Slay there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've just got, like, looking through their roster right now, they've got a lot of really good people there. So yeah, they belong, unfortunately, in the elite category. I don't think we're not done seeing them just yet.
Yeah, I think they got a few more years of being successful for sure. All right. The Washington Commander Redskin football team.
Yes. Side note, I saw there might be
Oops.
people petitioning for them to go back to the Redskins. Commanders is
Not
definitely the worst of the three
not just
names that they've
people,
had.
not just people, actual Native Americans who want the Redskins name, which is
Yeah.
I love that. It's glorious. You know why? Because
Which,
fucking white people are the reason why they're not the Redskins. They didn't even fucking consult with the people that it's a fucking talking about.
like, and the whole football team, I thought it was ridiculous at first, but it started to grow on me after a while.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it sounds like old school and
Yeah,
like
exactly.
rugged and
Yeah.
football team. Like, I don't know. It sounded cool, but I don't know. Commanders, that name needs to go away.
That should have been the Red Tails if they were going to change it to anything. Should have been the Red Tails. The
The
fucking
Tails or Red Hogs or something.
yeah.
But not Commanders. I don't get it. Should just do away with it just for the sake of, like, the Dan Snyder era is over. Change the name, fix the Sean Taylor thing,
If
and let's get to work on the field.
if we can't have the Washington Bullets, I don't want the Washington Commanders.
No. I put them in the awful.
Yeah, good
category,
call. Good
'cause
call.
they're just an awful franchise. Their stadium's falling apart. That doesn't mean anything about the team, but just
The
ownership
stadium
has been bad.
the stadium shits on people. Like it legitimately
Yes.
shits on people.
It's so bad. I don't know anything about Sam Howell. I don't know the first thing about him. I don't
I
understand.
know he's not Dan Snyder. That's all that I know.
Why did they get rid of
Oh, I mean the quarterback.
Taylor Heineke? I thought the people loved playing for him. Like, I got mad respect for him in that game.
With the Bucks.
They were playing with the Bucks. I'm like, oh my god, they almost knocked us out.
Yeah.
I was more concerned about that game
That was the
throughout
most
the course of the game than any other game in that playoff
Yeah,
run.
that was the
Like,
most
the Saints
stressful
had their
game.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Packers, by halftime they were done. And then we get to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes never looked comfortable. Of all the games that year, that was the toughest game, was Washington. And that was like the birth of Heineke is like that dude on the football field.
Yeah, like
So they got
comparisons
rid
to
of
Brett
him.
Favre and shit. Like
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, he's a little sloppy right now, but why don't you put some confidence behind him? Tell him, hey, you're the man for the next couple of years. Go out there and do your thing. Don't worry. I think he was one of these players that he had to play like what happened to what's his name? Ryan Fitzpatrick when he was on the Bucks.
Mhm.
He knew that if he made any little mistake, they were going to yank him out at any point in time. I
Yeah.
felt like that's what they were doing with Heineke. When you do that, I feel like it makes you more accident prone.
Yeah, because you're not relaxed. You're thinking about what
Yes.
could go wrong and not just playing
You're
the
just
game.
Yes. And so, like, I just didn't understand why they got rid of him. But thinking about their skill players, you got
McLaurin.
Brian Robinson, which was cool to see him coming back after get shot. But they gave him a lot of volume last year, but he wasn't very efficient. Gibson, I felt like he's a decent running back, but not great. You got a okay receiver set, maybe a little underrated. I don't know much about defensive side of the ball. I mean, I think they're okay, maybe middle of the pack.
Yeah, and nothing to write home about. They fit where they're at.
Yes,
Awful.
that's where they belong. They're awful right now.
All right, and finally, the non-biased, completely logical Buccaneers pick.
Yes. So, yeah, they're going to be right there between one of those two right now. And like I'm trying to figure out another team that's hard to figure out because they're either on the low end of you're okay or on the high end of bad.
Do you think they're better than the Saints?
No.
No, you don't think they're
don't.
better than the Saints.
Nope. And I'll dive into why. I wouldn't put them ahead of the Saints. No, I wouldn't. So I'm being optimist here. You know, on mine, I had him in that yellow.
Bet.
Bad on yours,
Yeah.
average on mine. I'm gonna put them at the very end of okay, and I think it's for a couple of things right now. We've got two quarterbacks right now, right? I mean, they've named Baker as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
As you commented, I'm kind of more where you're at when it comes to Baker, which is let's look at where he's been so far. He's a gunslinger.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Cleveland. They were run heavy team. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't really let him do his gunslinger thing and really get into his rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he didn't. Wasn't going to succeed there. And he went to Carolina, heavy run team. Couldn't be himself there. He went to the Rams and won a game after being with the team for like what 24 hours.
Something like that. Yeah, barely a day.
Yeah, but then he kind of tailed off. But at that point, that team was out of it, and it just seemed like that team mailed it in at the end of the year. So I don't know if we've ever truly got to see Baker in his element. The issue I have right now,
Does you want to
if we
see Kyle
had
Trask?
no. The issue that I have with Baker right now is it's completely unknown. What are we going to get with this coaching staff last year? Because if Bruce Arians was there and they were still airing it out more, I would say it's a perfect spot for Baker.
Yeah, oh yeah.
With Mike Evans and Chris Godwin leading the way at receiver spot, like he would be in a perfect spot to finally be in an area where he could probably succeed. But after what we saw last year when Arians was gone and Todd Bowles took over, man, I was rooting for Todd. I love Todd Bowles.
Yeah, no, you
I
do.
love him as a defensive coordinator. This is his second chance at head coach. His first chance was with the Jets when they were god awful. But now you got a team that was pretty fresh off a Super Bowl win. You have Tom Brady at quarterback. And man, if there was ever an instance of a team limping into the playoffs, the Bucks were it last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't have Tom Brady. And the play calling was awful. I always thought Byron Leftwich was overrated as offensive coordinator because I thought that had a little bit more to do with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. Then you take Bruce Arians away, and that offense was it was like classic Bucks.
Yeah.
First down, up the middle for 1 or 2 yards. Second down, let's try that again. Third down, oh, it's 3rd and 7. We're in a predictable pass. They're just going to drop back, bring some pressure off the side, then we're going to punt. So it remains to be seen. We got to see with the new offensive coordinator, how good is he? Is he going to, if they're going with Baker, let him air it out. If they go to Kyle Trask, maybe you don't quite air it out as much and let him be a game manager because he was a really good at that position in college. I remember, again, going back to being a Florida Gators fan, watching when he took over that team from Felipe Franks.
Ugh.
Felipe was never that good.
Ugh,
I felt like he
terrible.
always underperformed. Then Kyle Trask came in, and I was just like, man, I know Florida Gator quarterbacks never work out in the pros. I was not one of these people that thought Tebow was going to be around forever. I had a feeling he was a short shelf life. But watching Kyle Trask, I'm like, he just looks like the most pro-ready Florida quarterback I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I would agree. Go ahead.
And he was a 2nd round pick. It's not like he was some 6th or 7th round pick. So I thought, okay, he's going to sit behind Brady for 2 years because I thought Brady would only be here for 2 years. I knew he was never going to start over Brady. No one ever thought that. Like, okay, he got to learn from Brady for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You drafted him in the 2nd round. I was a little surprised that they brought in Baker and then that now Trask is not getting the chance to start. But my only thought is you can't go from Kyle Trask backwards to Baker. You can go from Baker. You can go from the experienced veteran to the eventual younger guy taking over. You can't go the other way because if you do that, you ruin Kyle Trask.
Yep.
But at what point are you going to use him, or is he never going to get a chance in a Bucs uniform?
Yeah, I agree. I would have to say Kyle Trask, I would agree, was the most NFL ready Florida quarterback that I can recall. Like, I think Tim Tebow was the greatest college quarterback of all time, but he was just that college quarterback. Rex Grossman, fucking Danny Warfel, like down the list, like
No, not good.
Yeah, no, the one of the I'd say the only other successful Florida quarterback that did anything in the NFL left, and that's Cam Newton. He was there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I don't really count
Well, he
him.
technically won the national championship with them the first time, and then he went to Auburn. But it's
Yeah,
like,
in
but
my
again,
eyes,
it's like,
he's
yeah,
an Auburn quarterback in my eyes.
well, me too. But I'm just saying, like, he's like as far as like NFL ready quarterbacks from Florida, it was Kyle Trask and Cam Newton, and Cam Newton didn't even play, you know.
No.
So it's like that just shows you like how that team has produced quarterbacks. But with Kyle Trask sitting behind Tom Brady, like you have no better seat than to learn from like arguably the best, the greatest winner in sports outside of Michael Jordan, right? It's Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods is like the ultimate winners, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he may not be the greatest quarterback as far as like maybe talent or athleticism, but the fact, like game general, he's on par with Peyton Manning. Like, there's no better person to learn from than Tom Brady, right? He's done it all. So I think
Yeah.
Kyle Trask definitely has probably the mindset, but I think Baker definitely has the experience that is going to be needed.
Yeah.
But I have ultimate faith in Baker. I love Baker Mayfield. I think I would love to see him succeed at least one good year, like one true year of him being able to play to his fullest extent. I would love to see that as a fan of Baker. Um, and I would love to see that as a, a Bucks fan. Like, yes, the Bucks aren't my favorite team, but like obviously the Browns are my favorite team, but I don't root against my home team. Just
Yeah.
they're just not my favorite team. So to see my home team succeed with a quarterback that I love, just like when Tom Brady came here, I was super pumped because my all-time favorite player from the NFL, played in my college, like to see him come here and then immediately win, like that was the greatest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Baker will like win a Super Bowl by any means, or nor does he have the impact of Tom Brady. But I just think I think Baker can be very successful, and I'm excited to see what can happen this year with them. But at the same time, like if he doesn't live up to expectations and Kyle Trask comes in, I'll also be very excited about that because I think Kyle Trask has the potential to be fucking great. It was fun to watch
Yeah.
in Florida. It was fun. It was actually decent to watch Florida football games whenever he was the quarterback. Because it seemed
Mm-hmm.
it
Yep.
was an actual quarterback. Like where there was Anthony Richardson. It's like he had a great game. Like wow, dude, that dude is awesome. And then the next Saturday, like what is this kid doing?
Is this the same guy? Like,
Yeah.
who is this? Outside of their quarterback spot, though, they got Rashad White at running back, who I think looked really good last year, which is why they got rid of Leonard Fournette. You've got receivers. We were talking about Godwin, of course, Mike Evans. Hopefully, should be future Hall of Famer Mike Evans.
Yeah, without a doubt, dude.
It needs to be my yeah. And then they have who's the guy you were talking about? Trey Palmer. I think that's
Palmer,
the guy
that's what
that's
it
kind of
is. Yeah.
yeah. Trey Palmer turning some heads in preseason, so he's pretty good. They've got Kate Otten, who's been coming along at tight end.
That's a
The
crucial
offensive
spot.
line, yeah, offensive line when healthy, I think is really good.
Yeah.
I think that was something that a lot of people also
Last
don't follow
year,
offensive linemen as
yeah,
much.
last year really
So
hurt.
when you start the season with our best offensive lineman, or like
The
the
heart and
anchor of
soul.
our offensive lineman,
Yeah.
Ryan Jensen
Yeah.
getting hurt, I knew right there. I said it's going to be a bad year. You
Yeah.
can't have Ryan Jensen go down. But we got a couple things going for us this year. You got Ryan Jensen back. That's a big improvement. So I hope he stays healthy. We got rid of what's his face over on left tackle, Donovan Smith. That guy was a liability at left tackle. Now we got Tristan Wirfs that moved over from right tackle to left tackle. So that's good. Now we got one of our better offensive linemen moving to where he should be. You got the new guy, Cody. You saw him that looks like Ryan Jensen Jr. I was a big fan of his in college. So to see him get drafted by the Bucks, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. It's like baby Jensen out there. So
Mm.
that's going to be a fun dynamic to watch. And their defense, just like the Bucks of old, I think their defense is really good. I think what tier they end up on by the end of the year will come down to coaching.
Yeah.
How well is this team coached? Because I think you could see them move to the front of the line of this category, or they could be somewhere in the mix of that bottom category, depending
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah. All right. So I will. You can see yours, but the recording can see what I see. So I'll go for my awfuls. I had the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Texans, and Green Bay. For the bad, I had Saints, Giants, Colts, Commanders, Titans, and Panthers. For okay, I had the Rams, Pats, Steelers, Browns, the Bears, Cowboys, Vikings, Raiders, and Broncos country. For the Goose, I had the Hawks, Jags, Bungles, Niners, Ravens, Chargers, Dolphins, Bucks, and Lions. So for elite, you have the Bills, the Eagles, the Chefs, and the Jets.
You're riding a lot higher on the Jets than me. You're riding a lot higher on the Bears than I am.
Yeah, so as for the Bears,
you had them 2 tiers up.
Yeah, so for the Bears, again, this is zero credit to Justin Fields by any means, but from what he was able to do last year, as far as win-loss, I do think they will do better than last year because
We better hope.
Well, for them, they better hope for sure.
Yeah.
But just as far as the players and just how the game of the NFL, how football works, I see them just improving. I don't see them going backwards from what they have.
Yeah, there's not much room to go backwards.
Exactly. So I just see them moving forward ever so gently. Like as a team, I don't think that they're bad. I don't like their quarterback by any means, but as a team, I don't think they're bad or awful. I think
I don't know. I just
they
can't
can
name
get
much
by.
of any players. Like I just don't think they have a lot going on for them. I see them falling very closely where they did last year.
I mean, it's always fun to
So
see.
I got them at the bottom.
Yeah, it's always fun to see. Don't get me wrong, but I'm being a little optimistic here. And and for the Jets, I feel that Aaron Rodgers' very calm demeanor will be the influence, similar to how whenever you talk to, you see the interviews of like Bucks players or like new Patriots players when he was there, it was always like a sense of professionalism, like they embodied that because that's what he projected was like just doing your job, doing the right by the team, yada yada yada. So I think Aaron Rodgers will instill something similar, but more so in a sense of like calmness, like believing like in the talent around you and like believe in me, Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback to lead us through. I think, I mean, I can't really speak much about their coaching per se. I don't even know who their coordinators are, but if
their offensive coordinator is Nathaniel Hackett.
That's right. Yes. So
Broncos old.
So yeah,
head coach.
So with that, I think that there's that bit of a chemistry and that somewhat bit of trust. So I do see that playing in their favor. I think where I think they would struggle the most is defense trying to keep up with the offensive talent.
Yeah. Yep. The offense is so far going to be the better side of the ball. So we'll see. We'll see how the defense if they can keep up or not.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the difference in that. The only other standouts I would say is like, so for the goods, I have like the Lions obviously pretty high because I do think that they're going to be way better than they were last year, especially with, just the division they're in.
Yeah. Division, the Bears don't have much going on. Vikings sliding. Packers trying to move on.
Questionable.
Aaron Rodgers.
Questionable.
Yep.
Yeah, and
definitely this is their time to succeed. Their time to
Yeah.
And they haven't won their division. Bucks have more recently won division than the Lions have. And the Bucks haven't been in it since 2002.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it's terrible. I think the time is right for them.
This is their time.
And
Now is the time.
and for the Hawks, I have them obviously higher, again, because just the offensive talent is just, to me, I believe, if healthy, obviously, it's just one of those teams where do you see the hole offensively?
Yeah.
You know?
And again, I think my categories, being that our categories were a little different.
Yeah,
my,
I get you.
My top category, I called those Super Bowl favorites. My second one were Super Bowl contenders, people that might sneak in. And that's why I couldn't put the Hawks up there, because I didn't see them as like a Super Bowl contender. Then your okay is my good. Playoffs is what I called them. Your bad was my average. And your awful was my bottom of the barrel. So the descriptions are slightly different. I had essentially 3 good categories and 2 bad ones, and I feel like you got 2 good ones and then 3 bad ones, because okay is not really good.
Yeah, you don't want to be
So
okay.
you don't really want to be an okay. So a little difference there, but I was trying to keep it consistent with at least the colors that I had each one categorized in here.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I'm looking at them kind of side by side. A lot of them are similar, some differ, but.
Let's just do one more quick category today. We're just going to pick 2 teams.
Okay, 1 second.
And so let's look at we're going to pick some teams that have never won the Super Bowl that we feel are most likely to win this year. We're going to divide the teams into 2 groups. The first group is the Bengals and the Bills. Out of those 2 teams, because I feel like out of the ones that haven't won, those 2 are going to be most of everyone's picks. Between the Bengals and the Bills, who do you think is more primed to win the Super Bowl this year?
Sucks because they're both AFC teams.
Yeah. Who do you think
I will say
shot to go over the top?
I'll say the Bengals, because they have a better chance of winning the division, or an easier chance of winning their division. So they have a better chance of making the playoffs, thus going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I just think they're I like them as the best team in their division. With the Bills, you got the Dolphins creeping up on them that may overtake them this year, possibly. Who knows? But then also, for the most part, the Bengals have had you got to look who's the top, who's the kings of the AFC? It's the Chiefs, right? What is the Chiefs' one kryptonite? It seems like is the Bengals. What are they, like 1-3 against the Bengals now in recent matchups? So
yeah, and they made the whole big deal of beating them in the playoffs. They're like, oh, like you whatever the fuck they were doing, like Daddy Who, whatever that fucking nonsense was. Like, bro, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, and again, as we were talking about earlier, Bills, I don't know, they're kind of, they got some question marks there that they got to perform now or never. So I'll pick the Bengals too. And then our second pick that we're going to pick here, again, it's teams that have never won the Super Bowl that are most likely. Everyone else in the field that isn't those 2 teams. So we've got the Falcons, the Panthers, Vikings, the Chargers, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Lions, the Texans, and Jaguars. You're picking most likely to win this year out of those people.
I would say the Chargers have the best chance.
Yeah, that's who I have too.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, Jaguars might be not too far behind.
That'd be my
them.
second.
Then like everyone else is just
huge reach.
Maybe third, and then
huge
after
reach.
Vikings, then it's a huge drop off. Chargers, they've got a difficult path because they've got the Chiefs in front of them. So but they just feel like Justin Herbert. You got Kellen Moore there now calling the plays. So hopefully he can dial up some good stuff for them. They've got the really good young receivers like we were talking about. So I would take them as the next most likely to win their first Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that'll about do it.
Yep. Wrap up episode 1.
We didn't get
No Huddle podcast.
Well, we did not get a chance to go over one more segment. We will just shelve that for next episode, episode 2. I really honestly didn't think the tier maker would. I didn't think the tier maker would eat up so much time, but I'm glad it did. But yeah, we'll go over Chris's armchair analyst and some other things in episode 2. But yeah, that is it for us.
And And then, as far as posting on social, find me on Twitter. It's CK813. ITSCK813 is where I'll be posting all of my NFL banter, anything for the show. Follow me on there. Let's talk football. Let's talk trash. I love it on Twitter. That's why I signed up for Twitter.
All right. That'll be it. See you next time.
All right. See you.